One of the difficulties about coming up for promotion is to identify for you and for the audience, which are your reviewers in your department, the School of Medicine, and at the university, who you are and what you've done. So I like to think of creating a CV as what you would go through if you were writing a grant application. There's a standard format for writing a grant application, and we use that standard format because that's what the reviewers are expecting, and it gives them a comfort going through the documents of knowing exactly what you are doing in your research, and in this case, exactly what you're doing in your career. So that's the main objective of why we talk about preparing an effective CV, so that your reviewers, both here and the external reviewers, get a great idea about what you have done and what your accomplishments are and why you should be promoted. So the difficulty that we have in 2018, in January of 2018, is that we're not sure exactly where we are in terms of Interfolio. Actually, we are exactly sure. We're betwixt and between. So later this year, we know that we will have a CV format in Interfolio's Faculty 180 that will be specific to the School of Medicine and will follow our standard School of Medicine format plans. But our current place that we are is not there yet. We don't have a standard CV format. So as we think about getting prepared for that March 15th deadline for those individuals who want to go up for promotion this year in 18-19, we have to think about exactly what needs to get done and what we hope this CV format will do. So what we really need to focus on this year is making sure that the headers in your CV are exactly the same as the headers in the School of Medicine format. That way your information will be correct in the CV format, and we'll make sure that that it follows School of Medicine standards. So the goal for 2018-19 is just to use the School of Medicine standard headers and don't overthink the formatting. If we need to work on the formatting, we can work on it in April and May before it goes up to the external reviewers. But we hope that this is a step that you can be spared. Now, for those of you whose CVs have already been parsed, it does mean that you would want to probably make these changes in your Interfolio file. For those individuals whose CVs haven't been parsed, then they could make this in a Word document or a PDF document. Questions about that? Does that make sense to you? Okay. So deciding what to include or exclude. So we used to say that we tried not to highlight our deficiencies and by deleting headings if there was nothing to report. But if your CV is coming from Interfolio, Faculty 180, there is not a way to omit those headers. So that's not going to be a likely possibility. What you still can be is comprehensive, and you are the best judge, but if you don't think about writing it down, then the reviewers will not know about it. So for example, if you got an invitation to review at an NIH review committee and you were unable to attend, you may include that indicating that you were unable to attend. And this speaks to your national, international recognition as a faculty member. Annotation is really your friend because it lets you identify things that may be unique about items that are in your CV. Think about the awards. If it comes from a peer organization, your colleagues in your department may know about it, but your colleagues at the School of Medicine and at the university are unlikely to know about it. So make sure that anything that is specialized to your area of research or to your area of education or national professional organization is annotated adequately so that the reviewers at every level can understand exactly what you are accomplishing. If it's an award, it's often good to indicate how many awards were given out. So if it's one award annually, if it's 50 awards nationally, that really helps to put into focus the significance of your accomplishment. So all these key CV tips that we gave you before, everything in red is now out because we hope that Interfolio will do that for you, which is one of the great advantages of this program. But what's there at the bottom, annotating your role for manuscripts and grants, is still present because that's something that you still will have to do. You'll have to provide information about who your trainees were, and there are many ways to do that. You can do that in the CV section of your document, or you can also do it, I shouldn't say or, and you can also do it under your teaching or mentoring. So if you have mentored a high school student, you can write a summary of what you did for the high school student. If there's a graduate student or a postdoctoral student, and I like to have faculty put the accomplishments there to actually indicate in that educational component what the outcomes were, whether it was an abstract that got presented or a manuscript that is submitted or a manuscript that you anticipate coming. So this is something that you can put things that will be coming that haven't been accepted in that teaching section, where you can't put it in the CV component under your published works. Again, all the red are things that you won't have to think about this year in creating a CV, but at the top, in the upper right corner on page 1 of your CV, you still need a signature. So what we will have to have you do is print, probably, a copy of your CV from Interfolio after it's completed, sign it, and then submit it as a PDF. So our P&T process is not going to be any different than what it was in the past. It's just how you get your CV. That's the only change that really is occurring in P&T. So it's nice to see all the red that you don't have to worry about. I don't have to talk about highlighting or underlining or exactly how much indentation. So it really will be a great reduction in the work for faculty. So what are some of the common things that faculty do? Listing non-faculty appointments under faculty appointments. So in an affiliate medical organization, if someone works for or is on a committee for the Cancer Institute, for Karmanos Cancer Institute, or the Detroit Medical Center, that does not go under faculty appointments. So the things that go under faculty appointments are minimal. Your initial appointment, any subsequent appointments if you've been promoted, a secondary or a joint appointment, and your appointments at other institutions prior to coming to Wayne State. So it's a very small section in general, unless you've been at many other places. So if it says something about Karmanos, the Detroit Medical Center, something about your department, so if you are you have a leadership role in your department, it would not go under your faculty appointment. Typically, it's going to go under hospital or other professional appointments, even if you're not a clinician. A clinical appointment, if you're a physician, does go under this section of hospital or other professional appointments. And so we typically find that many faculty will omit the fact that they are an attending physician at Harper Hospital Hutzel Hospital, the Detroit Medical Center, Sinai Grace, whatever institutions that they are currently an admitting physician. So those should be under hospital or other professional appointments. There is a date column in the CV format, but not all sections have it, and this should have been in red because that's something else that really is going to go away. You won't have to think about that because the format of Faculty 180's CV will not let you go wrong. If there's annotation that needs to be there to clarify what your role is in some organization, make sure that it's there, whether it's the School of Medicine, the university. Make sure that annotation is clear so that everybody at each level of review knows what you've done and for what organization. Some other common CV errors are not including the start or end date for licensure or certification. For those that are required to have licensure or certification, it needs to be there. And failing to list service by source. The departmental and divisional service should be separated from the School of Medicine service and the university from all others. Those are all our institutional service. Here's another example where if it says KCI, Detroit Medical Center, Children's Hospital in the title, it doesn't belong under departmental or divisional. It could be that it does go under your department because it's really the Department of Oncology, but make sure that you identify what that source really is and put it in the correct place. So anything that has KCI, Children's, Detroit Medical Center, or something similar, Harper, Detroit Receiving, would go under affiliate service. If you are putting a professional organization under service, make sure that you are actually providing a service for that organization. So simply being a member is not adequate. If you are a member of the American Academy of Pediatrics, but you don't serve on any of its subcommittees, you pay your dues, that doesn't go under service. That goes under your memberships, but not under service. So if you were a treasurer, a committee member, if you reviewed abstracts, that goes under service for your peer review organization. Service that's not related to your profession. Being a scout leader, volunteering for COTS, packing lunches are wonderful things to do for the community, but unfortunately it does not get you promoted. If you, on the other hand, provide immunizations for a community organization, you serve on a medical board for a community organization, you give medical talks or talks about your research to community organizations, that does go under community service. So think about exactly why you're doing it and whether it relates to your profession before you decide whether to put it on your CV. Things like being an Eagle Scout, serving in the military, are wonderful things to do, but typically they may or may not be related to your profession. So if you served in the military and you were called up to serve in a medical capacity, that would certainly be included. But if it was something that happened before you became a physician and didn't have anything to do with your current profession, it would not be included. Another common problem is interspersing teaching between this institution, Wayne State, and previous institutions. The headers for the CV are very specific so that the teaching is grouped. All of your teaching first is discussed at Wayne State. Because we're still doing the CV in reverse chronologic order. You're here at Wayne State, you're asking for a promotion at Wayne State. That comes first. And then it's subdivided by what group of learners under that header of teaching at Wayne State University. Only after you complete all of that would you have a section that talks about teaching at other institutions. It makes it clearer for the reviewer as to what you've done here and what you've done. Typically in promotions, your work in the last period of time is what is being reviewed. So if this is your first promotion at Wayne State, then it would be looking at what you've done throughout your career. If it's your second promotion at Wayne State, it's really bounded by what you did up to the prior promotion to current. So it's only that middle part that people are concentrating on. It's not that they're going to ignore the rest of it, but their concentration is going to be on what you've done since your last promotion. Another common CV problem that comes up is that faculty will list every single trainee that has been in their department for whatever period of time they've been at that, in that department. And yet there's really no output from any of these relationships. It minimizes the true mentorship that you've done for the individuals in your department where you truly have been their mentor. I see this more in clinical CVs than I do from the basic scientists or from research educator faculty, where I think it's much more what individuals you have specifically mentored. I would avoid that at all costs. It doesn't give a sense of confidence to the reviewers that you have actually made an impact on these individuals' careers, and it doesn't help you. One of the things that individuals who haven't served on the School of Medicine Committee may not understand is that the School of Medicine Committee is a diverse group of faculty. You've elected them to evaluate you and your colleagues, and they come from a group of individuals that are clinician educators, research educators. All of them have been here for some time, so they're at least an associate professor. More commonly, they're a professor. And they have a sense of when is somebody putting a lot of things in their CV to make it look good. So you're not going to fool them. If it really isn't substantial, it bugs them. It makes them seem like you have to show more than what you really have done. And so I would really try and avoid that, because you don't want an irritated reviewer. Reviews start for the School of Medicine in September, late September. They have about a month to review all of the dossiers. This past year, just a week ago, we sent up to the university all of our P&T dossiers. We had 43 this year that went to the university. We had 60 individuals, more than 60 individuals last year that submitted intent to go up. So about 15, 17 of those individuals, maybe almost 20, decided against going up for whatever reason. That's a lot of work for that committee. And just like being on an NIH review committee, they take it very seriously. Some of them will do a search on PubMed or Scopus to actually see what they find in terms of publications rather than what the individual has submitted. So they are a very knowledgeable group, just like those NIH reviewers. And I would really recommend that what you have done shines and not try and elaborate things that really don't give you as much credit. Now, We, again, have something in red, which means that this year it's less important because we hope that the CV that will go out to your external reviewers will be generated by Interfolio CV. And that is, we expect that mentees by training type and year will already be in your Interfolio CV. Another problem that we see is using incorrect headers or subheaders. Because this is a large volume of work for any review committee, and particularly because at the university level, they don't look at School of Medicine CVs a lot. So having 42 other individuals go up and using all the same format will help you because they will at least know where to look for the information and have a sense about it. This year it's going to be even more important because if you don't put it in the right place, your CV, when it gets parsed, will not map correctly. It's going to be a lot more difficult. It's always difficult to make sure that everything maps correctly and that the reviewers are really looking at where they should be. We said earlier that with Interfolio we can't omit headers or subheaders. They will show up whether you have something under them or not. That's one of the few deficits, I think, of this program is that it is not specifically created for the individual like your own CV format can be. So if you have any questions or comments, please stop me. Alrighty, active grants. Another problem is you list a grant under active national or international grant, and the end date is past. Now, some of that will happen because when you submit your CV in June to your department, you may still have a grant that is active, but it won't be active in March or April when the university committee the following year is looking at that. Everybody will understand that. Don't worry about that. What I really mean is something that says it ended in January of 2018 and you've signed your CV as May 30th, 2018. That really needs to be corrected. It's sloppy work, and your CV is your demonstration that your work is not sloppy, that everything you do professionally is accurate, up to date, clean, and it gives them a sense that this is an individual who really is on target with what they do. Pending grants listed with a beginning date that is way past. So if you have a grant that is pending now in February, and you are submitting your, or let's say January, because you only have 5 months, so it could possibly be still pending. But something that clearly is going to, you should have known about. The other thing that I would say here is that if something happens after you submit your CV, no matter when it is, let your department and the Office of Faculty Affairs know about that, because we will change things out. We have changed things out as recently as last week, just before they went up. We had somebody who got a grant. We have somebody with if numbers of publications is a problem for you, we would change it out if you had a publication accepted. If you've got 17 publications a year over the last 5 years, and you get 3 more publications, probably we don't need to change it out. But we'd rather be on the side of changing things out than omitting something for that university review. The same is true even after we send the documents up to the Office of the Provost. Last year, with the previous Associate Provost, we were able to change out documents so that if somebody got something substantial, we were able to include it. It's even true after the School of Medicine Committee reviews. because there's still the dean's letter. So the dean's letter could even address some of those things that were pending during that period of time. The dean's letter is written anytime between the end of October, after the School of Medicine Committee meets, and immediately before the dossiers go up to the university. So there really is even time to change the dean's letter with substantial changes. And that's something we really want everybody to know. It's a shame to have something that could have made a big difference in your decision or the ease with which that decision was made that isn't transmitted to the university. So if in doubt, call us. Even if it's mid-February, beginning of March, end of March, and we'll see if we can get it changed out in your dossier at the university. Some other things about grants, your role, and this shouldn't be as much of a problem with the CV format from Interfolio because it asks for it. The full funding dates, if you have a problem with how to list it, we're happy to help you with that. The salary support for you, so your percent effort, should be included in the total direct budget. Now, yesterday we met with the first group of faculty to actually see their CVs in the new Interfolio. We have 2 test departments that have gone through the process, and they were instructed that if you put in for your grants in Interfolio as you're entering them, one period of 5 years in length, then all you have to put in is your total direct budget, and the CV format will ask for each of these. Annotation, if you find something in the new CV format also that you think needs to be annotated and there's not a place for it, ask us because we may be able to insert something to be able to give you a field box to add comments. So we're very much interested in any changes, and some of those can be done relatively quickly. Some of them are not under our control, and then we have to go back to the vendor. But some of them are actually within our control. Yep, there's a microphone right in front of you. And the reason we're doing this so formally is that we record this and put it on our website so that faculty that can't come can hear.
Terrific. In this cluster of bullets, I have a question regarding actually 2 issues. One is full funding dates and also the total direct budget. If your role is consultant and your time is in kind and you're collaborating with a research team in a medical center, Henry Ford, say, it's common that I wouldn't know necessarily the total direct budget. Perhaps I'm a methodologist.
Yes.
Is that handled differently, or do I have to really go find out all of this data from the PI?
Well, let me say that if you're not the PI or a co-investigator, then as a consultant, we wouldn't expect as much for information. I don't think that those are required fields. I think you can leave them blank. So we'll know more as we use the CV format, but I do believe that those can be left blank. Charlene Brain is the person that is primarily involved with this, and she's the one that's been dealing with the vendor. There's a group of us, of 4 of us that have been, 4 or 5 of us that have been meeting with Interfolio. But she's the one that I would go back to. Yes.
Yes, I have a question regarding pending grant. What kind of pending grant can I include? Like, is that sure for pending?
Nope.
Or whatever I submitted?
Yeah, anything, as long as it's submitted, it's pending. If it's submitted and you don't have a decision, it's pending. So it could be something that you get a score on. It could be something that's triaged. I would say also that, and maybe there's another slide here, I've forgotten what I had in here yesterday. If there's an opportunity to put your score, even if it wasn't funded, then research educator faculty also get credit under the current factors and guidelines to be able to see grants that were scored well. Alrighty, another common mistake, it doesn't happen all that often, but it is really potentially a devastating error, is for research educators without active or pending grants that really are likely to pay going up for promotion. You may do that as long as you've had 3 years on a tenure track. You may go up for promotion, but I would really recommend that you have a serious talk with your chair, because going up for promotion without a positive letter from your department and your departmental committee is a handicap. It's not something that doesn't, I can't say that it never will allow you to get promoted. That's not true. We've had individuals who were not supported by their chair. Last year we had somebody that was, not this year, but last year we had somebody that was a joint appointment, and one of the two chairs supported, one did not. The committee supported, and the individual was promoted and was given a tenure appointment as well, so granted tenure. So it is possible, but it is a significant handicap. And particularly if there's an opportunity to wait for a better time, then I would certainly do that. Timing is everything in going up for promotion. Another problem for the clinician educator is if they are the principal investigator for an investigator-initiated pharmaceutical grant, they should annotate it as such, because being a PI for that kind of a grant has substantially more weight than being a site PI for a multi-center study. What that really means is that the investigator has created the science, has created the methodology, and has proposed it to the pharmaceutical company, and it means a lot more than if somebody else has created that science and you're recruiting patients. So please be careful and make sure if you have clinician educator faculty or you are a clinician educator faculty that you adequately annotate and make it clear. Again, all of the underlining and the bolding is going to go away under the new format. But if you don't provide the header and subheader, you will still have problems. So you still need to make sure that you have identified your work on your CV that gets parsed as peer-reviewed, reports of original work, or case reports, or reviews, or whatever topic is in the CV format. The author style, this is another wonderful thing about the new system. This isn't a major tragedy because you can change, if you want your CV for another organization and you want your CV in a different format, you can actually identify what format you want it in. So if you want it in APA or you want it in Medline, you can identify that. You hit a button and it changes your CV to be in that format.
Just a quick clarification. Under peer-reviewed, you have in red underlined? What?
Yes. Yes, so this, in the old format, you were required to make sure that you bolded certain sections and you underlined certain sections, and the date column went on the right-hand side. With the new Interfolio system, that should generate a CV that is consistent with our format. So that need for being an editor is gone. We hope. We have yet to see the CV format. So I said early on in this discussion that we are in transition. And at the present time, we don't have a CV that is specific to the School of Medicine. We have told the vendor that we need it by the beginning of the second quarter of 2018. So the CVs that come in now, what we're looking for is just the headers to be correct. And if we have to go back and fix the format with this cohort in the 2018-19 year, you will be the last cohort, we hope, to ever have to worry about the underlining and the bolding and the indenting and the numbering and all of that picky stuff that nobody ever liked. So my predecessor created this CV format, and I was a professor at the time, not intending to go up for any more promotions. There are no more promotions that somebody looks at your CV. And I told her she could fire me before I was putting my CV in the School of Medicine format and reformatting all for the reverse chronological order. However, I inherited that. I really felt that all those faculty that had been made for 3 years to make a School of Medicine CV format would lynch me, or at least put sand in my gas tank. So I chose not to change that format. And now we don't have to worry about it because there is a standard format CV on Interfolio. So if somebody needs a different kind of CV, they just reformat that CV by asking Interfolio to do it. And hopefully we will have our own CV format. And now if I asked all the faculty to change their CV format, it wouldn't be so major because people wouldn't have to do it on a Word document. It wouldn't take them 3 hours. Now, I will say that I did reformat somebody else's CV for them when they were going up for promotion because it was a member of our Department of Pediatrics when I was still in pediatrics and had a role as the DFDL. And this particular individual had been turned down for a promotion to associate professor because of one formatting error. One formatting error. That individual had failed to put in that his case reports were peer reviewed. One hyphenated word got him not promoted at the university. And when he was coming up for promotion to professor, I still felt badly about his, even though I had no guilt for it, I didn't do it, I felt badly. And I actually did format his CV into reverse chronological order and all those picky things. So I've done it once. I don't ever want to do it again, and I'm so glad that I don't have to make faculty do it again. And we do it now for the tenure track faculty. We make them put their CV in before they get renewed because when they're coming up for promotion, I haven't wanted them to be burdened at that time. I'd rather have it earlier.
Yeah, I was asking you about that format for this literature. So, like sometimes I put like corresponding author remark, or I kind of heard before that you should put some citation index. Those things are not considered at all.
Mm-hmm. So for promotion and tenure, you do need a citation index, and you need the impact factors. I had hoped that was going to be coming in with Interfolio. They do not have a contract yet with Scopus. Some institutions have with writers have a contract that brings in those numbers, but unfortunately, Wayne State is not one of them. So it is quite possible that people will be doing it again on their own. Another common problem is that the published abstract list contains entries without a citation, that they're really not published abstracts. Those go under presentations. It's simply a matter of moving them to presentations. The presentation section should be all refereed under that section where it says podium or poster. And if they're not refereed, then there's a section following that for non-refereed. So if it's a research day at Wayne State, it's unlikely to be refereed. So please don't put them there. Invited lectures or seminars that are local or regional are put into sections for international or national. Again, it irritates the committee members at the School of Medicine. The university may not notice it, or they may. Alrighty, and no impact factor or citation index when submitting for promotion and tenure. And as you know, these will change. The impact factor for the journal changes from year to year, and also the citations are going to change as well. So we don't commonly have those in our CV format, except for promotion and tenure where they are required by the university. So you can find from the Schiffman Library. I hope that we're going to be able to get a recorded description by Catherine Akers or one of her colleagues about how to look for these, looking in the database. Charlene also is very successful at helping people go through these, but this is not something that that Charlene and the group will be able to help with immediately because of the work on selective salary. But the university's library does have identity for finding them, and this these slides will be in this presentation so that you can see them. So your citation can come from 3 different databases, either Scopus or Web of Science or Google Scholar. Scopus has to be accessed through the library. Google Scholar usually returns a higher citation count, and you should indicate on your CV where your citation index came from, because if your reviewer at the School of Medicine is particularly focused on this, they may look at your citations, and you want to make sure that they're consistent with what they found, or they have a reason for believing otherwise. So these are from the Schiffman site, looking under Scopus and article databases, and then searching. And it's great if you have an uncommon name. This is probably the only place where having a hyphenated last name with two such names is helpful, because there aren't too many Delaney Blacks in the literature. I used to say I was the only Delaney Black, but now I have a granddaughter whose first name is Delaney and her last name is Black. So there are 2 Delaney Blacks in the world. But Scopus also offers the opportunity to have an index that is unique to you. So even if your name is Alan Smith or Ashok Shah, as we seem to have a lot of, then you can find your own articles. Okay. All right, and so these slides are in the presentation that you can find online. The upcoming P&T sessions that we think that might be helpful to you, there are 2 on personal statement, one on Wednesday the 7th from 12 to 1, and Linda Roth is going to be doing that. Linda has done a great job for many years in helping people to write personal statements. She's now emeritus, but she is willing to help. She asks for the first draft of your personal statement, and then we'll go over it and make suggestions. She doesn't rewrite it for you, but she gives a lot of good suggestions. There is a speed mentoring program for anyone who's already decided to go up for a promotion. It's a way of clarifying what the likely view will be of your dossier. And this is done by individuals who were either were recently or currently are members of the School of Medicine Promotion and Tenure Committee. So this gives you a unique opportunity to get a peek at how your reviewers will be looking at your dossier next fall. I would also recommend that you find anyone in your department, either individuals who are likely to go up in the next few years or individuals who are not headed towards promotion, to come to this event so that they can get feedback. And typically each individual meets with 3 to 5 mentors who have reviewed their CV before the event starts. So we ask that you provide your CV in advance. Kate will be contacting mentors and trying to find mentees to come. And then we will assign you not to somebody in your own department, but to somebody who is appropriate. So we try and identify clinician educator mentors for clinician educators and research educator mentors for research educator faculty. There's another personal statement panel discussion at the end of February where 4 of your colleagues who have gone up for promotion in the last few years will talk about how they dealt with writing their personal statements. We obviously had picked people that we thought had really exceptionally good personal statements. There are others that had really exceptionally good personal statements. Many of them were not available, and we tried to find clinician educator. We tried to find a mix of people so that it wasn't all basic scientists or clinicians. And I think we had somebody from the research track as well. So we tried to find a mix of individuals. And then finally, in April, after you have submitted your CV and your first draft of your personal statement, then it's time to think about your teaching portfolio. The teaching portfolio does not go forward to the university. It does go forward to the university. It does not go forward to the external reviewers, and therefore it doesn't have to be ready for June. It has to be ready for your departmental committee, and your departmental committee cannot meet until all of the letters are back from the external reviewers. So you have more time, and this is something, again, that Linda Roth will run. Alrighty, any questions? Oh, I'll tell you one thing I do want to do. Let's see if I can figure out how to do it. I want to make sure that you know how to find okay, so I'm trying to get out of the slideshow. Escape. Okay, thank you. Okay, and what I want to do is just go to the internet to make sure that you know where to find things about PMT. Kate joined us in January, and she's going to be transforming our website. We never liked our website. We still don't like our website, and so I'm really looking forward to getting it changed because there's too many clicks. Oops. Let's see if we can. Let's try Chrome. Okay, great. Alrighty, so before we put the slides on the website, we will go ahead and put a link to this on it. So we came to www.med.wayne.edu. Under faculty, there's Office of Faculty Affairs and Professional Development. I'm going to click on that. Then on the, okay, there should be over here to the side. All right, it's down below. Okay, so it's moved. So what we want to look at is faculty and academic staff, and then when we, there's one for promotion and tenure. And this, Charlene has updated, so it is the 2018-19 request for consideration. It's due March 13th. And if you want to go up for promotion, this is what you submit to us. It should be accompanied by a draft of your personal statement and a copy of your CV, a Word copy of your CV, so that I can edit it, and I will provide you back my comments. The other thing that you will see over here is the CV template on the left-hand side, and that CV template for payroll faculty is what you want. And when you hit here, it will come up as a Word document at the bottom of your screen. And you do need to use the headers. So here it is. This is the way that your data will get in. All the instructions are at the top. It looks like it was last updated at the end of October when we went through the last P&T session to make sure that it's up to date. So don't worry about the formatting, but do follow all of the headers and subheaders for the School of Medicine, so you don't fall into that category of somebody who forgot to indicate that their case reports were peer-reviewed and didn't get promoted. All righty, any other questions? All right.
We have responsibility and cross-responsibility in the School of Medicine and another school.
Mm-hmm.
You would merge those responsibilities and appropriately, with appropriate subheading, into your CV.
You
Non-School
won't
of
be able
Medicine.
to change to add a subheading now because the subheadings will be defined by Interfolio. So I'm assuming that we will have the Interfolio CV, but you should be able to clarify it in annotation. And if you need more space for annotation, you should let us know.
Okay.
There is also a section in P&T for additional materials, miscellaneous. You also have the opportunity to put things in your personal statement that you can talk about this combined role, if it's significant enough to do that.
Okay.
And that's one of the wonderful things about the personal statement, is it gives you a forum to be able to identify whatever you think is most critical about you and your career path that doesn't fit into anybody else's format. So we have people that started off in one area completely and then moved to something entirely different. And they can explain that transition. It's a great place to explain any difficulties that you've had, almost like what you could do in your letter if you were asking for a clock stoppage. So it really gives you an opportunity to provide information. But it is limited. It says 2 to 3 pages, I think, on the university website. We say 3 to 5 pages. I have to say that once it goes to 4 and 5 pages, I'm getting anxious to get to the next review. So it does need to be reasonably concise, but it's a great forum. If it doesn't fit in the CV format, that's a great place. And most of the individuals, at least at the school, will start with that personal statement. And the draft of the dean's letter often has quotes from the personal statement if it's something significant. If it really puts into perspective a career path, then that's what should be there. Okay, thank you.